My fiancé's family mocked my simple wedding. Then they found out who had actually paid for everything. 1 week before the wedding, the final straw was a paper plate. Just a cheap white paper plate. I had placed it on the kitchen counter, alongside the napkins I'd bought from Dollar Tree and a few small wedding decorations I'd picked up from Target's clearance aisle. My future mother-in-law, Linda, picked up the plate, held it between 2 fingers and laughed. "Are these really going to be used at the wedding dinner?" Everyone in the room laughed. I smiled too. Then Linda said, "Poor Ethan. He's always been used to nicer things. At least the wedding should be memorable." Something inside me quietly broke. I took the plate from her hand. "Yes," I said softly. "It will definitely be memorable." But at that moment I wasn't thinking about the wedding anymore. I was making a decision. I should have seen it coming. But I didn't. Or maybe I did. Maybe I just didn't want to. Ethan and I had been together for 3 years. We weren't rich. He was an assistant manager at a local auto parts store, and I worked as an administrative assistant at an elementary school. Our life was ordinary. Target runs after school drop-offs, laundry on weekends, the occasional dollar store purchase when something around the apartment needed replacing, and sitting at the kitchen table near the end of the month, looking at our bills and wondering how much would be left until the next paycheck. That week I counted pennies. We had decided on a small wedding at a community hall with about 50 guests. Simple flowers, homemade desserts, a buffet dinner and a small DJ. We didn't want to start our marriage with debt. I thought Ethan felt the same way. His family didn't. They acted as if our modest wedding were something embarrassing. "Why don't you book a hotel ballroom?" his sister Rachel had asked. "At least get a proper photographer," his brother added. And Linda? She always had the same comment. I thought Ethan's wedding would be something special. He'd done this before. Not the first time. I had stayed quiet because I kept telling myself that this was our wedding, not theirs. Eventually I thought they would understand. Then came the night I found Ethan sitting in the living room. "Where were you?" I asked. "Out." "Out where?" Without looking up from his phone, he said, "Does it matter?" I stared at him. "Yes. Because you were supposed to come with me to look at the venue today." He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "Mom thinks we should postpone the wedding." "Why?" "Because this whole thing looks cheap." The words landed harder than I expected. "And what do you think?" He was silent for a long moment. "Maybe she's right." I didn't argue. I went into the bedroom, opened my laptop and pulled up our wedding budget. Venue. Food. Decorations. Photography. Everything. Then I opened another spreadsheet. I listed every payment I had made during the previous 8 months. I had paid the venue deposit. Half the catering. The flowers. My wedding dress. Even the alterations for Ethan's suit. Then I remembered the $8,000. A few months earlier, I had received money from a small savings account my late father had left behind. I hadn't told anyone about it because I had planned to keep it as an emergency fund. When the wedding expenses started growing, Ethan had simply said, "We'll figure it out." I had figured it out. Alone. I closed my laptop. The next morning I said nothing. I called the venue. Then the catering company. Then the DJ. I quietly canceled every booking I had personally made. Where refunds were available, I took them. Where a deposit was non-refundable, I accepted the loss. Then I called the bridal shop and canceled my appointment. I didn't fight with anyone. I didn't insult anyone. I simply started taking my money back. 2 days later, Linda texted me. "Can't wait for Saturday. Don't forget the cake." I replied, "Don't worry. There won't be one." She called immediately. "What do you mean?" "The wedding is canceled." There was silence. Then Linda shouted, "You can't do that." I answered calmly, "I already did." The next day Ethan showed up at my apartment. His face was red with anger. "You canceled everything?" "Yes." "Why?" I opened the spreadsheet and turned my laptop toward him. "Because this stopped being my wedding a long time ago. It became your family's performance and somehow I was the one paying the bill." He said nothing. I scrolled to the bottom of the spreadsheet. Total paid by me, $8,742. He stared at the number. Then he looked at me. "You spent that much?" I gave him a small, tired smile. "You didn't know?" He lowered his head. For the first time I had nothing left to explain. And maybe for the first time Ethan understood that silence didn't mean weakness. It meant I had been paying attention. Saturday came. There was no wedding. That morning I went to Target and bought myself a new coffee maker. Then I went home, cleaned my kitchen and invited my friend Maya over for brunch. We made pancakes. For the first time in months I could breathe without feeling like something was sitting on my chest. Ethan contacted me several times over the following weeks. He apologized. He admitted that he should have stood up to his family instead of letting them criticize everything I did. He said he hadn't realized how much pressure I had been carrying. Maybe he would really change. Maybe he wouldn't. I wasn't ready to decide. But I returned the engagement ring. I started rebuilding my savings. And I created a small travel fund for myself, something I had never allowed myself to prioritize before. I wasn't interested in rushing into another future with someone who only recognized my value after seeing the receipts. For a long time I had thought keeping the peace meant swallowing my feelings. I finally understood that sometimes keeping the peace means walking away from the people who keep asking you to disappear. The wedding I had planned didn't happen. The marriage didn't happen either. And yes, there were moments when I wondered if I had thrown away 3 years of my life. But then I remembered that I hadn't thrown anything away. I had learned exactly what I was unwilling to sacrifice for love. My dignity. My savings. My voice. My future. It wasn't perfect. But it was mine. And for the first time that was enough.